and welcome. It is time for the week. Oh my gosh, what are we on? 47 mixed media prompt card making for my challenge that is Crafty Hope Prompts. Now this, because it is named after me, is a challenge I created. I started back in October realizing that there are 52 cards in a playing card deck, traditional playing cards, and 52 weeks in a year, and that seemed like a great opportunity to build up a prompt deck, really, to make a list of prompts, pull them every week, alter that card, and then later on have a full deck of prompt cards. So that's what I've been doing every Monday, making these cards. This is the one I made this past week, week 46, and I make one side decorative and the other side is functional with my prompts. So this past week I used ribbon, white marker, and colored pencil. You can see I make one side of my card decorative with those prompts, and then the other side is my functional side with those prompts on them. Then each Saturday after I make my card, I do a different project so that I'm doing something other than making cards with those prompts. I also do something else. This past week I did these like floral drawings, art pieces. I haven't decided exactly what they are yet, but I did some floral art with those prompts. But I've also done art journal pages and junk journal pages and assemblage projects and tags and bookmarks, and I could go on and on. But I do have a playlist at the end of this video that you can click on and work your way through to see the different cards and projects I've made, along with anybody else that has tagged me in their posts in which they've done Crafty Hope prompts. So if you have any questions about this, do ask me. You are welcome to play along. You can either use the same prompts that I pull, or I've got that full list of 156 prompts below that you can print out, cut out, use however you want. And I'm awful froggy today. Sorry, y'all. And then you can use it any way you want, and I ask that if you use it, tag me and use the hashtag #CraftyHopePrompts so I can see what you've made. So what else do I want to tell you? Like I said, if you have questions, ask me questions, and don't be concerned that I'm on week 47. Go ahead, start now, start at the beginning, however you want to do this. Just go get inspired and make something. That's all I ask. All right, let's go ahead and draw these week 47 prompts and get on with our new week. I can't even believe it. All right, so I'll put this card over here, and we are going to pull prompt number 1 is going to be yellow. I knew more colors were coming. So yellow is a very tough color for me to work into, well, pretty much anything. Jewelry is the hardest thing for me. I do make jewelry, but jewelry is really hard. You can see that there is some yellow kind of sparsed in these cards over here. So we will see how yellow gets worked in. And that can be anything. That can be paint, it could be stickers, it could be scrapbook paper, it could be pieces of metal or twine or ribbon or anything yellow. Colored pencils. I do. Yeah. Buttons, all kinds of things. Anything yellow. Just see if you can work it into your card, or whatever your project is. All right, prompt number 2 is going to be paper punch. Okay, guys, I have a nice little set of those big paper punches that punch out different shapes. So I made this list knowing what supplies I had and that there are things that I don't use very often and need to use. So I will probably pull out one of those, but you could also use a hole punch. I know hole punch is in my list, but you could use a hole punch. You could use a die cut if you want. I've got several sets of die cuts. I just used these in a Seek, Gather, Create week 1. So, if you've got some kind of thing that will cut out paper, if not, think about cutting paper yourself into certain shapes and then putting that in. So if you want to cut it into a circle or cut it into a flower shape or something like that, that's all that needs to be. Okay, so far so good. Last one is going to be oil pastels. Ooh. Okay, y'all. Oil pastels tend to be like, at least for me, in stick form. I have some water soluble ones and some regular ones. I found some oil sticks here recently that I have yet to use that I could also include in this. So if you have any of those things, if not, think of other oil-based or wax-based items, or other pastels. Even if you just, I know we had crayons here recently, but some kind of other substrate other than, or even if you've got oil paint, go for that. That's not something I actually own because I know I would not enjoy it because of the long drying time. So I kind of feel the same about oil pastels, but I bought a bunch of them a while back, and yeah, so I'm gonna think on that one. I've got a little bit of an idea of what I want to maybe do with oil pastels. Okay, so yellow, paper punch, and oil pastel. Ooh, okay, yeah. Okay, those are my 3 prompts. I'm gonna get my card, go gather those items, and I will be right back with a few things. Alright, so I pulled out all the things to go with. First of all, I didn't really pull out anything yellow because I can bring yellow into it anyway. I can use some of the oil pastels. I did get a piece of paper that has some yellow on it, but I can work yellow in some way, and I'm not super concerned about that. 4 paper punches, y'all. I have this bin. I don't know if you can even see the whole thing. That is nothing but these paper punches. Some of them are circles. This one's like a stamp. I actually have one that looks like a button. I've used that one before. What else? I've got ones that look like tags and lots of flower ones. And I even have these like decorative scissors. Now since they are in my paper punch bucket, I could use them. Oh, I have this one. It has wings on it too. That could be fun. So, but you know what I do with wings. So, I've got these like water droplets and all kinds of punches. So I will bring those in somehow. To go with those, I did pull out some papers because if I'm going to have a paper punch, I have to have papers. So I've got, these are just scrap papers that are sitting around, scrapbook papers that I wouldn't use in any other way. So I have those that I think I may alter with my oil pastels in order to adhere onto here. So y'all, I have apparently a plethora of oil pastels I didn't even realize I had. So I've got these 2 small boxes that I've picked up at like garage sales, or I've come with things. So these 2 are really, really old. They're possible. Let's see, this one won't even open. Let's see if I can get it open. So they are even like packaged kind of the same way. And I have no idea how old they are. I do have these oil sticks that I got at the thrift store. I have some Crayola oil pastels. These are Lowe and Cornell oil pastels. And then, these are Portfolio oil pastels. I believe they are like the Crayola ones, maybe, or water soluble. These are water soluble, I'm fairly sure. Because they're with my crayons, with my art crayons that are almost all water soluble. And then these are water soluble wax pastels, which I'm sure are different from oil pastels. But if you have something like this, that would probably work too, because they're kind of not oily, but you know what I mean, that wax kind of consistency. They're not chalky like a soft pastel. So yeah, so I have all of these, and y'all, I never use them. I collected all of these over years, and that's why this is on this list. So, and like I said, I have the Portfolio ones, which I think they might be Crayola brand too. I'm not sure. So anyway, I am going to get started on this and get to it. As usual, I'm starting with collage. I'm just going to put down a single layer of some of that book page I had pulled out off to the side. So I'm using an acrylic matte medium that I'm trying to spread over every bit of that card. This just gives me a better surface for working on. If I tried to use those oil pastels straight onto that card, it would just be slick and horrible because there is a plastic coating on those cards. In my last prompt card video, I did show another option that you can to get something better on your cards is to sand them. Oh my gosh, that none of those words came out right. to get some more tooth, you can sand your card with just like a sanding block or some sanding paper, maybe even a filing, like an emery board, a nail file, if you wanted. So, or you could put gesso on there. So, but I find that this is my favorite way to either put some collage or paper or something down, give it a minute, because even this acrylic matte medium doesn't really want to dry on that plastic. So you have to kind of give it just a little bit of time. So on the other side, I use the other side of the paper. You can see that's got like a jelly print on it that y'all, these papers I pulled out of a folder that's like on the other side of my craft room that I apparently have of papers to be collaged with or to use as underpapers or something. I don't know. So I recently discovered them when I was gathering papers for the Trading Paper Pals paper swap. So anyway, so I pulled these out, and so this other side's gonna have the green on it with that kind of, I don't know, I guess I must have printed leaves at some point because that's what that looks like. Okay, so now that that is done, I am pulling in those other scrap papers that I have, and I'm just going to play with these oil pastels. I'm going to use at least one of every single one of the ones I've pulled out. And I thought it was funny that this set is obviously missing one, and the one that's missing is the yellow, the one color I have to use. So I'm playing here with how these blend together. So you can see I've got the white one there, and I'm kind of going over those blue lines I drew, and I was playing with that far too long and was like, okay, let's go to another one. So here I did pull out the yellow, and I'm just doing some scribbly, seeing if I put the yellow on the blue, if it would make green. It did. Big surprise, right? So, and then I pull out, y'all, I'm playing, I'm putting in some botanicals there. I wasn't real sure what I was going to do, except that I was probably going to paper punch some of this out. So I'm kind of just doing almost like a master board where you're just going to have something. And more than anything, I just kind of wanted to play with the pastels, get a feel for them, decide, maybe what they could be good for. These Crayola ones, you can see they have been barely touched. I'm starting to think that I need to maybe do a purge at the craft room, because first off, I do not need this many oil pastels, and there's so many of ones like these that just are still brand spanking new. So I might have to purge some of these. I've been kind of doing some destashing and making some boxes of things that I have found that I won't use, but maybe somebody else wants. So I'm considering maybe doing some destash boxes in my Etsy shop at some point of like papers and materials and stuff that I don't want, but maybe somebody wants a mixed bag of stuff. So let me know what y'all think of that, because right now I'm just like, I don't need all of these things, but maybe you do. So I'm continuing to just play and make marks and mess around and kind of get a feel for all of them. This set here is probably the set that I have used the most, and if I keep any of the oil pastels, it will probably be this set of all of them, probably this one and maybe the two little vintage ones, because I've obviously this one has like broken ones, and it has a lot more colors, and I don't know, it sparks my interest a bit more, but it's probably just a super cheap set that I picked up, oh goodness, y'all, probably in the early 2000s, late 90s, who knows. So I was really enjoying making these circles, and once I made them, I used my finger here to just kind of like blend the color inside of each of the circles, and that was a lot of fun. Just these random marks that were connected, was super fun. So once I get all of that blended, what am I going to do next? I can't remember. Do I have another box of... Yeah, I hadn't used any of the portfolios yet, so I decided to test that and see if it was in fact water soluble, and y'all, that didn't move. So I don't know what I was saying. I mean, it moved a little, but mostly I think the paper was moving and not the color. So I don't know. So we're going to skip ahead, and I decided to grab one of my flower paper punches there, and I'm going to punch out just 2 flowers on this yellow paper that I've double yellowed up. And then I grab this one. I like the scrapbook paper because it was fairly sturdy, and I'm again going to select the area that has some yellow on it because I know I need to use yellow. I'm going to punch 3 of these tags out. Can you guess why? for my 3 prompts. I thought that tag would be the perfect backer for my prompt words. So I've got that all picked out, but I wanted to alter the background some. So I grab this. Oh, and y'all always get it backwards. This is like orange yellow or yellow orange or something. And I just put a frame around my card, and as I was doing that, I remembered that oil pastels are going to be like a resist, so it would be perfect to add some watercolor on. So to grunge this up and push back on that yellow, I got like a dark gray watercolor there that I'm putting on there, and it's interesting. I think it might work better in some other way. And then splash some even darker gray black on it, and I'm going to dry it, and it's just going to be a muddy mess. Yeah. Super muddy mess. And it's fine. And I kept in mind that as I dried this, that oil did melt some, so that it might move and do weird things. So I felt like that needed a bit more color on it. So I pull out this, it's kind of a tealy color. I don't know. There may be colors written on those. I didn't look. I just drew something there to have a different color on there. And it's not really going to matter because when I put those little tags on there, you can barely see what's back there. So there are my prompts. I'm going to go ahead and cut those down. I'll skip ahead. And then I'm inking up all the edges of them with some distress ink and black soot. I will have to pull out my actual ink pad of that because there's just not enough left on this ink blender to do much. So yeah, I'll put this down and yeah, grab that and finish inking these up. Now I kind of wish I should have probably inked my paper punch tags too. I don't know, y'all. I'm just I really should have, but you know what? It is far too late. And this is my making of my cards is really just for me to get a chance to play with each of these prompts with the materials that I've been prompted and think about them a little more and see how they interact with one another and come up with an idea for my project later in the week. So and blending that out isn't too big of a deal. It's just I'm trying to make things pretty. I'm trying. I'll use my Oohoo glue stick here to glue the words onto my little tags. And then, what do I do from here? I am trying to remember. Did I need something else? Oh, I decided I needed more yellow on there. So I grabbed some fossilized amber distress oxide, put it on a little piece of like acetate, sprayed it, and I'm doing like intentional splatter. So basically it's splatter. But yeah, with the distress oxides. And then I'll dry that. Once it is dry, I am going to go ahead and ink the edges on the card with that same black soot distress ink. Kind of, I don't know, it's all grungy. I really wish the cards themselves have all that white on them, so it's not a big deal, but I kind of wish I had added a little bit of white splatter on there. I guess I thought that yellow would be kind of the white on there, but it just added a touch more yellow that I end up basically covering up with these tags. So I'll glue them down. And have I used these tags before? It feels like I did something similar before with like directions, arrows or something. I don't remember. And I'm going to use, I think this is a Sharpie pen, rollerball pen that I wrote my number 47 at the top. I will grab it later. Yeah, or grab it again right now. Here we go. And just do some sketchy lines around the outside. It just felt like it needed some. And I think really it is a little bit more white. But we're going to call that side done. I have got my paper punched flowers and I'm thinking about them, moving them on and off this card, and I'm like, just glue them down home. So once again, I'll use an Oohoo glue stick to do it because this is just paper to paper. This is some scrapbook paper or something, but it's like of the thinnest variety ever. I don't even know where it came from. I've had it so long. All right, those are glued down. They need to pop. They're not showing up on that green background. So I've got this, I can't remember what brand that is. Pentel maybe. It's a 0.3 millimeter pen, and that's what I thought I needed. It was just a tiny little bit of pen around it, or inking around it to make these pop. So as you can see, I'm spending an excruciating amount of time going around these flowers so carefully with this tiny pen nib. And because this is sped up, so can you imagine? And I really was like, okay, that's fine. These need stems. So I grab those portfolio ones because they were sitting there and open. I didn't have to pull anything out of a box. And so I did the top of that needed some color to it. So yeah, whatever. I'm adding a little color there, shading in different areas to bring colors around, adding leaves, kind of moving it around just a little bit, playing, because oil pastels are not my jam. And I'm adding a little bit of yellow to the center as well, just to, get that, And it felt so bland, so boring. It needed something. I was like, it's got to have some kind of contrast on here. So I go and I've got that same tiny nib pen that I'm trying to go around the stems and leaves I just drew. But of course, it's oil pastel, so this doesn't really want to write over it. So I'll struggle with it for a while. And finally, go and grab my cheapo pen from the Dollar Tree that I love. The ink in this tends to be water reactive if you work fast enough. So I am drawing around it, grabbing my paintbrush, and then getting that ink to smear. Y'all, that was the answer this whole time. So I'm going to do that on both of the stems and leaves there. And it looks okay. But then I'm like, you know what? Let's go around the flowers too, because you can't really see the flowers. So I'm only doing like half of the petals at a time so that ink doesn't dry too much. And then doing the other half. Now, I think I got too much water on my paintbrush like here. And so some of that ink and water is going to soak into that cheap paper. See how, it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and do it on the other side. But this also helps that yellow to show up a little bit more. I don't know why that transition was there. I must have paused or moved something. That was weird. I don't know why I added that transition. But I'm going to go ahead and do it on the other side. But I really believe this darkening of this really helped that yellow to be its full yellow self. So, like I said, I struggle with yellow, and I shouldn't, or I struggle with the thought of yellow. Like, the yellow jewelry, I will tell you, is the hardest thing in the world to make. I don't know why, but I don't know. Yellow jewelry is hard, y'all. So I knew I needed more black on here just to give it some kind of balance. And I found a phrase in my small talk stickers. I cannot tell you what it is right now. You will see it at the end. And of course I have to cut it down. And I wanted something I had to cut down. I wanted something long that needed to have layers to it so that I could intersperse that black throughout it a little bit more. And since I knew I had that oil pastel and stuff on this card, I'm going to go ahead and add some glue stick to it. And I think I ink the edges of this once I get done with getting everything laid out. And after that, I think that's everything, y'all. This one's going to be a little bit of a struggle for me. I am looking forward to seeing how y'all handle the pastels, especially. It's not one of my jams. It's not one of my usual go-tos. So I'm looking forward to also learning from you about how some of these products can be used. All right, guys, if you did like this, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see y'all very soon with hopefully a project with these 3 prompts. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see y'all later. Bye.